Hello everybody, welcome back to Spill the Tea Loo. Apologies for the small delay there where my brain just realised that actually yes, I had in fact gone live. Sometimes it does a little delay thing where it tells me you are now live, sometimes it doesn't and it just goes live without telling me and I'm like, oh, there I am on the screen, it's me. So, excellent stuff. The technology is working a little bit faster than I'm used to, but the fact is it's working. Hopefully you can see me, hopefully you can hear me. Let me know if everything's working for you in the chat. I see Rob is in there good and early. Thank you very much, Rob. Lovely to see you. Smash a like, get your votes in. I will obviously try and remember to give you the results of the poll before I end the stream because I have the worst habit ever of doing a poll, looking at the results myself, and then not actually giving the results to you guys in the comments. So if I'm getting near to the end of the stream and I haven't given you the results of the poll, please somebody remind me that I can't leave without ending the poll because it's a problem, it's a bad habit, I'm working on it. But on the plus side, my poll doesn't say, have you liked the video? Because who likes them? We all just hit the big X. But thank you very much for joining me. It is going to be just more of a chit chat. Obviously, I have United on the title. I have United on the thumbnail. I am going to be talking about that match because while I have been live since the match and I did have a little bit of a chat with Kai from behind the dugouts, we were primarily focusing on his team Chelsea, a little bit of chat about Man United in general, but we primarily focused on his team Chelsea. He was very good to join me and I didn't want to take away from the topic at hand. But I feel like I haven't enjoyed the win enough. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, I know what we'll do. What's happening? There's not much football this evening. It's Tuesday. I'll have a chat with the gang. We'll talk it through together. Also, there has been a little bit of dramatics, I feel, since the result. I wouldn't call it a fallout, there has been a bit of an aftermath, both with Manchester United and with Arsenal, in very, very different ways. So we're going to talk our way through that, and as per usual when we're having a bit of a chit chat, we are going to take a look at my ex. I have been bookmarking posts for you guys, because I know you just love looking at my ex, but it does give us, it just gives us a feel for what's happening on social media. It gives us a feel for what, content and kind of the online world are talking about at the moment. And it just lets you know I'm not making these things up. People are actually out here saying these things. Mama Flossie in the house, guests in the house, everybody's here. Smash the like, vote on the poll. And as I said, do remind me at the end if I have not given you the result of the poll that I haven't given you the result of the poll. So what I'm going to do at the very beginning is just very quickly, I'm going to give you an overview of the game other than I loved it, we were fantastic. I'm going to give you a small just overview of the game. But really what I want to focus on more so than the game is the aftermath, is everything that we're seeing in here and on socials, on media today, and kind of, as I said, the aftermath rather than the match itself. But we'll start at the start because let's face it, lads, I'm liable to go off on one. I do. I go off on a wee tangent and then I come all the way back in. But the match itself. So, obviously in the build-up to the match, as you know, I always check who the referee is going to be. For this match, it was Craig Pawson. We have a bit of a checkered history with him, so I didn't know what way to feel about it because sometimes he goes with us, sometimes he doesn't. I thought he actually had a good game overall. Some of the Arsenal fans will not agree with that. A la the handball, non-handball decisions. I think he got them absolutely bang on. Obviously, VAR thought he got them absolutely bang on. But when they go against your team, you do, I don't know how I'd react if the shoe was on the other foot. I thought they were the right decisions though. So I thought he had a good game. But also in the build-up to this, Arsenal were one of only two teams who hadn't lost at home so far this season. That is now down to one team. There is only Sunderland left standing that have not lost a game at home. What are we? Och, I'm a silly sausage. Lads, I'm a silly sausage. Now, I always normally check this, but I saw our Flossie saying hello to Huge, and I'm like, why cannot I not see Huge? Is he after falling out with me? But silly Billy me, what I had done was I had it, when it sets to top chat instead of live chat there at the top of your screen, you have to sort of change it yourself. I've changed it to live chat now. Now I can see everybody. Hi Huge, nice to see you Billy. Wills is in the house. Hello beautiful people, hello yourself. But, so like that, going into this match, Arsenal had not lost at home at all this season. And let's face it, United are not exactly titans at the moment, so that was a worrying record. Another one going into this that I thought was really interesting and I didn't know until they announced it. Prior to this match, Raya had faced 0 shots on target in the previous 2 Premier League games. And then when we started the match, it was all Arsenal. The first 20 to 25 minutes was all Arsenal. It was fast paced. They were all over us, and like not in a good way, like a rash, the kind of rash you don't want. They were all, and here's me, oh no, like this is not gonna, I wasn't like, oh my god, we're definitely gonna like lose, but as I said to Anton, you know, you have to be careful saying that kind of a thing, but also I wasn't like, oh, we're definitely gonna win easy breezy. Obviously I was concerned. I did think it was possible for us to win. I predicted a draw because I didn't think it was going to be as easy as some Arsenal fans maybe thought it was going to be. And I do say some Arsenal fans, not all of them. Arwell's is a good one. But I was nervous. And the way they started, I thought, oh my goodness me, they're going to absolutely trounce us here. We've gone and beat City. We've had our fun. The manager bounces over. We're already straight into a loss. But we did then start to grow into the game, and as we started to grow into the game, obviously that was the point that we decided, no, we're going to score an own goal, because we don't like to do things the easy way. The way it came in, it sort of had a strange bounce off Martinez's foot, goes into the back of the net, and you're thinking, well, they were on top of us already, now they've got a goal, I mean, it's only going to get worse from here. But then something really weird happened, and Arsenal did a Manchester United. And I was actually speaking, as you know, like I know very well the head of the Arsenal supporters club here in my town. So he's originally from London, but he lives over here, and so he is the head of the Arsenal fan group that's here. He organises the tickets and all that sort of a thing. And I was chatting to him today, and I said, yous did what United normally do, because normally what happens is United go ahead and score, and then we're like, oh, that's it, we've scored, game over, we can just sit back and relax now, we don't need to do anything for the whole rest of the match. So we just sort of, we score and panic then because we've gone ahead and we don't know what to do with ourselves. And it actually felt very, very much to me like Arsenal went ahead, and it actually took all the vigour out of them. They became less threatening after they went 1-0 up, and I thought, oh, this is funny, I thought it was going to get worse. But look, the game continued on. I felt that we were starting to grow into the game, but the problem was there was another record. So not only have they not lost at home all season, not only had there not been a shot on target against Raya for the last 2 matches, the other record, because they're all the records that were against us, they 24 out of 24 matches, obviously in all competitions, that Arsenal had gone ahead this season, they won. 24 out of 24. So all matches they had gone ahead, they had won. This is the first match all season where they went ahead and then lost. So it was a really, really unusual thing for them, for their form, for how their season's going. It was out of character for them. And I'm going, so I know all of this. We're currently 1-0 down. They've all these records of 24 out of 24 they've won once they've gone up. They haven't faced any shots on target. They've been all over us for the start, and I'm like, oh dear goodness me. But we were getting better. We were playing well. And I thought, this is really odd. I don't know how to feel, because I feel hopeful, but I shouldn't. This is obviously terrible. I'm setting myself up for failure here. But we equalised. Magical. Mbeumo, unbelievable. But to be fair, it was an absolutely appalling mistake from Zubimendi. A really, really loose pass. Like, it was terrible. If one of my players did that, I'd crucify them. Obviously not literally, metaphorically, but I'd be so mad. I'd be really, really, really angry. It was a terrible mistake. He basically gifts the ball to Mbeumo. And Mbeumo then obviously does really well, because I have to be honest, if that was Sesko, I'm not sure he puts that ball in the back of the net. Maybe he does, but it requires like a lot of calmness. You still have to place the ball properly. What I will say is, after Zubimendi made the mistake, I don't think Raya reacted well. He didn't make himself big. He almost made himself smaller, which I thought was really unusual, because normally in that situation, what you want is your keeper to come out and make himself bigger and bigger. But if you actually watch the replay of that goal, Raya almost crouches into himself. He runs towards him, but he makes himself smaller instead of bigger. So he gave more space to Mbeumo. And I found that really interesting, because again, if that was the kind of thing that Bayindir or Onana had done when they were in goal for us, I'd have been absolutely fuming. I'd have been like, what's wrong with you? Make yourself bigger, not smaller. Like, what are you doing? And we already know Raya is a really, really good goalkeeper. Obviously, he's a really good goalkeeper. But I thought it wasn't, while Zubimendi made a terrible mistake, after that mistake happened, I felt that Raya also did not react how he should have done, or how he maybe normally would. I just thought it was unusual. Watch it back. He definitely makes himself smaller, because I thought it was really odd at the time. But we're back at 1-1, which is madness. Absolute madness. Obviously then, you do start to get a little bit hopeful, but literally directly after going level, Dalot gave away a free kick. And I'm like, oh. One of my favourites, as we know, Dalot. Mazraoui is back from AFCON, and I'm like, why is Dalot even here? Bless him, he gave us a bit of cover, but honestly, why is Mazraoui not on the pitch? Now, obviously, it's probably to do with jet lag, with fitness, with travel, the whole lot. I mean, it makes sense. But when I saw him give away the free kick directly after we equalised, I was like, oh, goodness me. Like, are we fighting just to give away goals here? Lads, please do get... I see all the comments coming in. Please do keep getting them in. As I'm kind of going through my spiel, I'm seeing them, and what I'm going to go do is go back and pick through them like I normally do. So don't worry, I'm not ignoring you, as I am going to come to you now in a wee minute. I don't know why I've written this down, but what I've written down is Cass is such an intelligent player. So what I would assume is he went down, he got hurt, there was a foul, he did something, because he does it all the time. He just takes the sting out of the game, he puts it out of play. He's really smart. See, when we talk about experience, when we talk about, you know, a bit of know-how, when we talk about the dark arts, when we talk about Premier League experience, this is the kind of thing we're talking about, the kind of stuff that Casemiro does. It's just clever, it's intelligent, he slows the play, he breaks it down, he's so smart. I love him. He's the kind of player, if we were playing against him, he would do my nut in because of the stunts he's pulling, but I love him because he's doing it for us. I see Luke is in the house. Lovely to see Luke in our chat, people. We've got two whole Arsenal fans in our chat, lads, so we'll have to be nice to them today. Now, obviously then, it's half time. We come back out, it goes to 2-1, Dorgu, unbelievable strike, unbelievable. Obviously we had the calls from a huge amount of Arsenal fans, particularly on all the ex people, I've seen them all, saying it should have been a handball, the goal shouldn't have stood, Now, it hit his hip, it didn't hit his hand, it hit his hip. So you can't say it's a handball when it doesn't hit his hand. If you would then argue back to me and say, no, it definitely hit his hand, it might have hit his hip as well, but it definitely hit his hand, what I would say is the referee made an on-field call. VAR is only supposed to intervene if it's clear and obvious. It's definitely not. Let's imagine it hit his hand. It didn't, it hit his hip, but let's imagine, for argument's sake, it's absolutely not clear and obvious. So therefore, even if you genuinely believe it hit his hand, which I would argue you down to the ground, but let's say you do believe that, it wasn't clear and obvious. Therefore, they have to stick with the on-field decision anyway. So even if it hit his hand, it wasn't clear and obvious, the referee made an on-field decision, therefore that decision stands because it wasn't clear and obvious. So I think you just have to get on with it there. I understand if you genuinely believe it was a handball, a bit of frustration, but it wasn't, and even at that point, VAR literally can't intervene. So I think at that point you do just have to move on. So then we see, and I found this super interesting, really, really, really interesting, especially because of some of the narratives that do surround Arsenal at the moment, especially so far this season. Subs were brought on. As far as I remember, let me see, I'm not stupid, I'm sure it was 3 subs were brought on, wasn't it? 4 subs, bloody hell, I thought it was 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 subs brought on at that point by Arsenal. The commentator said this, because I don't know how tall these people are, but the commentator said this, so I'm taking him at his word. He said that for the most part, the subs that were being put on were taller than the counterparts that were being taken off. And his observation was, are they subbing on taller players so they'll be better in the air and they can make use of the set pieces as they have done this season, get a corner, get themselves back in the game? Now, Rob Always United says desperation. I think that's a little bit unfair, because if Man United, and we have been quite good at them this season, if Man United have been as good as Arsenal at set pieces and corners all season, and we're a goal down, and I have people on my bench that are tall that I know are good at set pieces, and I know the narrative that's going to happen if I lose to Manchester United, I'm putting them on. If there's a thing that my team is good at, and I'm losing a football match, I'm going to do the thing. So while I found it interesting, I didn't see it as a negative thing. What I did see it as was, it is something they use. It is something that's effective for them. They felt that they needed to use it. So at 58 minutes, they felt that much pressure and concern about the result. They felt the need to deploy that tactic. I'm not going to criticise them for using the tactic, because if it works for you, it works for you. I'm not going to say don't do it. What I like is it's a positive, because it meant that they felt that concerned about Manchester United, this terrible Manchester United, that they had to deploy this tactic. So I'm taking it as a compliment, actually. I'm taking it as they felt the need to do it. So I'll take it. Now, the thing is then, it worked. Because we go back level, they get us, now it took a little while, but they got a second goal. So obviously the tweaks and the tactical changes they made eventually did make a difference. They went to 2-2. But then Matheus Cunha, who I said, this man is taking so many shots, he needs to start being more clinical, he needs to stop just shooting. When he's shooting, he needs to actually put the ball in the net, he needs to be more clinical. Well, since I have said that, he has been more clinical. There has been goals and there has been assists, and his passing has become tighter. I'm taking all the credit, because obviously in his spare time, Matheus Cunha is listening to Spill the Tea Lou. Clearly, because what else would he be doing with his days? But what an unbelievable goal from Matheus Cunha. We had Mbeumo, cool, calm, collected, taking his shot, and then we had Dorgu and Cunha, 2 absolute screamers. Unbelievable goals. Really, really, really good. And then we see here exactly what Arsenal did. They saw a situation, they knew they had players, they tried to take advantage of that situation. We realise it's the 87th minute, we're 3-2 up, we can't afford to concede again. Obviously, you need to get Mazraoui on the pitch. Clearly. So our tactic was, we went to a back 5, because that was the intelligent thing to do. And I have no problem with anybody who wants to say, oh, you went to a back 5, oh, you went defensive. Absolutely, we went defensive. We were 3-2 up against the top of the Premier League, who had hounded us for the first 25 minutes. We absolutely went defensive. It was absolutely the right decision. It was completely the right tactics, and it worked because we won. So I am delighted. I thought the game was really good. I was clearly buzzed with the result. And can I just say that at the point this match had happened, we had only lost our manager, Ruben Amorim, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Ruben. 12 days previous to this. Michael Carrick was there for 12 days prior to this match. He has done an unbelievable job. And there's been a lot of criticism of Arsenal since the match. Arsenal were terrible, Arsenal were this, Arsenal were that. But you know what it is? Manchester United were really good. How about, okay, maybe all of Arsenal's players didn't play to their best of their ability, but Manchester United were really, really good. The tactics were really, really good. And as I said when I was on Fire Them Cannons with Anton and Cal prior to the match, I said, because obviously he'd only been in place 12 days, Arteta is going to find it very difficult to plan for Carrick because Carrick hasn't, he's barely played in the Premier League as a manager. So Arteta has nothing to go on. It was hard to predict what he was going to do. And essentially, Arteta was playing the unknown. The only match he had to go on was Manchester City. And we already had Michael Carrick out there publicly saying, I've no problem changing my tactics. I will adapt to the opposition. So Arteta had one match to go on and he had no idea if Michael Carrick was going to do anything similar to what he did in that match. So I do think Arteta was going in a little bit blind as well. I think it was a very good time for Manchester United to want to play them. So, I thought it was a good game. It was very, very interesting. Obviously, I was clearly delighted with the result. However, I think the aftermath, everything that's coming out since, is even more interesting. But what I want to do first of all is go through some of your comments, because yous have been flat to the mat in there and I want to make sure I'm not ignoring yous. I've gone on, oh my God, lads, I have gone on for 20 minutes. How do you put up with me at all? I am a disaster. Right, let me see. We have Nathan in the chat. Welcome, Nathan. Thank you for joining us. PFC TV is in the chat. Hello, nice to see you, my lovely. Let us go up, because I know you've all been chatting away in there. So I don't want to miss anybody, as we've got Billy. So we're back as far as Huge and Billy. We know they're there. Billy says we're on the road to 500 subscribers, which we are. I currently have, at the start of this stream, 346 subscribers, lads. Honestly, yous are all unbelievable. I love the channel. I love the chilled out, relaxed, nice, happy vibe we have going on. Little bit of banter, little bit of fun, no nastiness, no silliness, cup of tea, bit of a pint, maybe a kebab. We'll love it. So thank you all so much to every single person who has liked, who has subscribed, who has been in the chat, who has got involved. I love it. Hopefully we are really on the road to 500, because we need more hooligans in this chat having the crack with us. Love it so much. So good stuff, Billy, pointing that out. Huge is saying Bruno was not very good for the first half. I don't know. I thought normally when Bruno's bad, I notice him because he irritates me. I find when I don't notice Bruno, it's because he's doing well. He's not irritating me. But there was kind of the first, maybe not the whole first half, but the first maybe 25 to 30 minutes. So basically when Arsenal were doing well, he was doing the whole cry, moan, give out, complain, arms in the air thing. I can't remember what it was over, but there was a point where he was going at the referee about something. The decision had been made, play had moved on, and Bruno's still following the referee complaining, and I'm like, please stop that. Because you see, when something actually happens, he's not going to listen to what you're saying because you've already annoyed his head. Stop. He's made the decision. He's not going to change it. You've made your point. He's not listening to you. Go to the next thing. Carry on with the game. So for the start of the match, he was a wee bit irritating. But then I felt as the match went on, as we grew into the match, he grew into the match, if you get what I mean. Jay saying about Dorgu being out for 10 weeks, I am going to speak on that. So I wanted to go through the match first, then we're going to talk about the aftermath. One of the things in the aftermath is that Dorgu is going to be out for up to 10 weeks with a hamstring injury. So we are going to talk about that. Also, thank you for being here, Jay. Appreciate you. I don't think I said hello to you. I just went straight into your comment. So thank you for that. Wills is saying he's only a little bit late today. Well, do you know what? That's okay. I'm always a little bit late for stuff, so it's fine. I won't tell if you don't. So everybody's saying hi. Jared's in the house. Nice to see you, Jared. Jared is saying voted for Patrick Dorgu for United Player of the Month for January. I also voted for Patrick Dorgu. Spoiler alert, I also voted for Patrick Dorgu today. It popped up on my timeline and I was like, hello. Nathan, that was Nathan joining the chat saying hi. Huge is saying, I'm pretty sure Arsenal have won all their games. They've scored a set piece as well, so that's another record. Wills did give us a record. He told us, and I forget. Wills, give me the date in the chat and I'll read it out. I completely forget how long you said that record was going. Nobody had scored more than 2 goals against us. When did you say that was from? I know you told me, but I completely forget. So I'll shout it out and then we'll not mention it again. Appreciate you. But yeah, we did. We broke normally United break our own records, all the ones we don't want to break. We don't normally break other people's records. So it was a good night for us. It wasn't a good night for the Arsenal records. Huge is saying, to be fair, Raya almost saved it. I'm assuming that's the first goal where I was saying that I thought he could have done better. He didn't make himself big enough. So you're saying that you thought he nearly saved it. I think if he'd saved it, it would have been more luck. I don't think it was any skill on his part. And I thought Brian Mbumo did unbelievable with that, because I do think another player might have panicked a wee bit and not got it in. Rob Always United is going big. He is saying, I'm going to say it, I think we have the best attack in the Prem at the moment. I don't know. I do think we have a very good attack. But I'm trying not to get too excited, because the last time I got excited, look what happened. So I'm trying not to get too excited. Ray is in the house, and he is saying United had a good game plan and took their chances. Arsenal were full of individual mistakes and minor systemic flaws were magnified. And the thing is, that can happen. You can carry it. See when one player does a mistake. See when maybe two players are a little bit off it. But you see when half your team, and if we look here, they've got, let me share the screen so you can see it. If we look here, like Raya's on a 5.1, all the reds and oranges are basically not great. So when you have half your team maybe having a bad day, or half your team making individual errors, what it does is it magnifies any other kind of flaws that are present. And there's always going to be flaws, because there's no system that's absolutely 100% perfect. But it just, a number of your players had a bad day all at the same time. And sometimes you just can't contingency plan for that. Sometimes it just happens where your team just has a bad day. It just happens sometimes. I mean, I do. I think, as for the poll, I think people are being a little bit dramatic. I nearly racked the place. I have to change seats. I think I've told you this before. I have arthritis in my knee, and so when I sit in the same position for too long, my legs start to hurt, so I have to move. But sometimes, because I'm quite tall, when I move my legs, I kick the tripod. So I'm after nearly sending you all flying, but we're still here, so that's all good. There's my flaw. I've got arthritis in my knee and my legs are too long for the tripod. What else are we saying? Jay is in the house, agreeing with Rob about us having the best attack in the Prem at the moment. Obviously, Luke made his entrance. Let me see. Oh yeah, so it was 2 goals. So far so good. I'm right. There was definitely a thing with 2 goals. So Wills is saying he has managed to limit all the Premier League, Real Madrid, PSG 3 times, Bayern Munich 2 times, Inter 3 times, loads of other really, really good teams. Couldn't get more than 2 past Arsenal, and Manchester United went and did it. Rob, there's always banter. What's not allowed is nastiness that's disguised as banter. Actual fun, full banter, that's allowed. Wills is saying you can't rule out a goal like that for a soft handball. It was a banger. That has to be about Dorgu's goal. Completely correct. Nathan is saying, I want United to finish top 5 so that we can see Real Madrid versus United again. I have to be honest, as much as I would like to finish in the top 5 and theoretically get back into the Champions League, when you then mention that we would have to face teams like Real Madrid, it makes me a little bit nervous. Rob is saying it hit his hip, so yeah, that's us back on Dorgu. Nathan is saying in the Champions League that would have been penalty. In the Champions League, almost everything's a penalty. I think we in the Prem are too inconsistent, and I think in Europe, while they are consistent, they're soft as anything. They're so soft. Jay is saying that he felt Arsenal looked scared and it was a mad thing to see. And I do think there was a bit of concern. I definitely think there was a bit of concern. I think the tweak in tactics and the changes made showed that there was concern. I think it was legitimate concern, clearly, because we ended up winning the match. So the concern is legitimate. I think because there's this whole Arsenal are scary kind of thing out there at the minute, which is primarily not being done by Arsenal fans, which makes it all the more irritating. I think then people are kind of throwing it at Arsenal. Well, you know, you weren't scary, you were actually scared. I think sometimes bit of banter is fun. It is, and I had a bit of banter when, as I said, when the head of the supporters club was in with me. I had a bit of banter, I had a bit of a laugh, I had a bit of a giggle. I pointed and laughed. I'm enjoying the win, but I do think sometimes kind of the joke's over. Do you know sometimes those people that keep telling the joke and nobody laughs, and so they explain the joke and you're like, no, we understood it, it just really wasn't funny, it was over, and then they keep trying to explain it, and then they do the fake laugh at their own joke. Absolutely embarrassing. But I think sometimes you have to recognise when the joke's over. And for me, the Arsenal are scary, Arsenal are scared joke is a little bit over. It's a little bit tired. New jokes, people. We have to keep the material up to date and fun. So I just... Gav, I can see you on one screen. I haven't got you on this screen where I'm reading the comments, but I can see you flying past in the other screen. So whatever you've been saying, all I can see is my bad. So we'll get to that, whatever that is going on in a minute. But yeah, I do think they looked a bit scared, a bit concerned. I do think it was not quite exactly like City, because I find when you pressure City, they panic. They start committing fouls, they start surrounding the ref, they don't know what to do when you bring the game to them. And I did get similar vibes with Arsenal. But for me, what really, really, really stood out was they got the first goal through an own goal, but they got the first goal and took their foot off the pedal, which is exactly what we normally do. And when we do it, we say that we bottled it. We bottled the match, we bottled the lead, we didn't hold on to it, our players panicked, they didn't know what to do, they didn't behave correctly. So I think in this specific match, yes, Arsenal looked scared and they looked concerned. Nathan is saying United also have the second most set piece goals. Absolutely, and we are flying under the radar with that. So let them keep going. Whatever Ruben Amorim's coach, Carlos was in charge of the set pieces. Whatever he was doing was magical, and I wish we'd kept him, because we weren't doing this last season. We were incapable of scoring from or defending set pieces last season, and I think we have drastically improved in that area. He's one of the coaching staff I would have loved to keep. Now, maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he wanted to go with Ruben Amorim wherever he's going to go next. But Carlos, I would have kept him. He's been revolutionary for our team. So, what else? Wills is agreeing with Jay. Yes, there was definitely something wrong with them being the Arsenal team. Luke, who's obviously also Arsenal, is saying Arsenal gassed out after the first half. Maybe San Siro midweek knocked some wind out of the first team. Arteta should have rotated Eze and Marino especially, and maybe Norgard. And I do think that's something that's really important. So again, when I was on Fire Them Cannons with Anton and Cal prior to the match, they were saying, that Arteta had rested certain players hadn't played this many minutes, and my response was, well, we're not playing at all. So all of our players are rested, we're not playing at all. And it was the age-old kind of argument of, okay, well, is it better to not play at all and be fully rested, or to play and be in a bit of a momentum and just rest some players? And I think the answer in this match was that it was better that we were fully rested, because when you, as Luke says, kind of gassed out, tired out after a really intense first 25 minutes, we then had the energy to keep going because we didn't have the minutes in our legs that your players had. So really, really good point. Rob is singing a song. Nathan is saying, Nathan's on fire tonight in the chat. I'm so glad that Nathan joined us. Thank you for being here, Nathan. Welcome to our lovely gang. Hopefully you will subscribe so you can come and see us again, but you're on fire in the chat this evening. I think Dorgu goal was a banger, much more difficult than Cunha's. I do think definitely Dorgu's was more difficult. 100%. I think Cunha's was beautiful. It was very pretty. It was lovely to watch, and I'm certainly not taken away from it. and it was clinical, which is what I've been asking him for. But Dorgu's goal was definitely difficult, and he just struck it so well. Absolutely fantastic. Hugh just saying it wasn't a back five, it was a back six. Do you know what? I'm not arguing with you because it might have been. PFC TV is saying that they love the show. What else? Oh no, I've jumped down by mistake. I've gone way too far. I was about to read a comment and it's gone. Where have yous all went? Right, okay, I'm back here. I'm back with yous. I don't know. Do you know when my mouse has one of them little scrollers in the middle and it just went like, vroom, I've lost everything. So what is saying? Nathan is saying they always discredit our victories. I feel like it happens often though. It does happen to United, but I do feel like it happens often where the focus can be on the losing team, and it's not just even necessarily Arsenal. I've seen it happen multiple times this season on multiple platforms, on YouTube and on Sky. It's easier to point out what people have done wrong. It's easier to criticise, and working in retail, people are 5 times more likely to tell a friend or someone they know, an acquaintance, about a poor experience as they are to say about a good experience. 5 times more likely. That's insane. What it tells us is people focus on the negatives. Therefore, when a team loses, people focus on the loss. They focus on what went wrong. They go straight for the negative. And I mean quite literally, it's human nature to focus on the negative and to not give credit to the positives. And it's something that I think happens across the board, but obviously when it's against your own team, you do notice it. And I think it's important that we do try and be aware of it. While we can criticise the team that lost, we do have to praise the team that won. And that's regardless of who the teams are. Unless, of course, it was really lucky. Do you know what I mean? Unless, of course, you win by the opposition scoring 2 own goals, which point you can take no credit at all. Maybe a little bit for some pressure, but I mean, you're not taking credit there. But I think in general, when a team wins, you have to give them some credit because otherwise they wouldn't have won. But yeah, it does happen all the time where the victory or the victor gets discredited in favour of focusing on the negatives of the opposition. Jay is saying Carrick has got them believing again and the mood change. It feels, and I don't know, the United fans in the chat, you'll be able to tell me if you feel the same. Do you feel that it's similar to when Ollie took over in terms of vibe, in terms of mood, in terms of just the feel of it? It feels happy again. I'm enjoying the football. Really, really enjoyed it. Wills is agreeing it was a bad time to play Man United just after Carrick had come in. Nathan is saying about Ronaldo predicting Carrick being a Manchester United manager. I did see some quotes about it. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I do know that he mentioned it. 347 subs, so somebody has subbed. Thank you, whoever that was. I have a feeling it might have been our Nathan. It could have been our Luke. I don't know. Maybe we'll go to 348. Jared is saying nobody wants to credit Michael Carrick and the team for the intensity, instead putting the pressure on Arsenal who need less. Jared, completely agreeing with exactly what we were just saying there. People have the tendency to focus on the negative. It's all about Arsenal, what Arsenal did wrong, Arsenal are under pressure, Arsenal are bottling, Arteta can't do it, blah 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 blah. No, do you know what? United have just changed their coach. They've changed their formation back to something they know. Their players are up for it, they're enjoying it, it's familiar to them. Everybody's feeling a little bit happier. They're on a high after beating Manchester City. They played really bloody well. Do you know what I mean? It can just be that. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Completely agree. Guess is saying we need more tea drinkers, 100% correct. Luke is saying Bruno is a baller, love to have him instead of Odegaard. I think a number of your fans might feel that way at the moment. Gav is in the house, quick visit because Tusa's running a wee bit behind. He does have a tendency to be late. He does be even later than I am. He makes me look on time. Jay is saying Bruno got angry too quick. He did actually, but then he simmered down once the game started going. Wills is agreeing with Jared. There's been too much focus on Arsenal and United do deserve more credit. Absolutely correct and right. Everybody's saying hi to Gav. Gav the Gov. I like it. Flossie, that's a good one. Gav the Gov, that's what we need to call him. Right, Wills, against his better judgment, has given me the date. So, that was the first time since December 2023 that Arsenal have conceded more than 2 goals at the Emirates. Absolutely unbelievable. So obviously it's not a nice record for them to lose, but it's a really, really positive thing for United. Let me see. Gav is saying we do love to break an Arsenal record. Wills is heartbroken altogether. Let's see. Nathan, I use SofaScore because that's what I used when I worked in the bookies. It's very, very easy to use. I like it. It's what I've always used. However, I do use FOTMob as well since Ash introduced me to it. So I use kind of a mix of both, but I find the graphics on this is really easy to see. It's easy to find things, do you know what I mean? But to be honest, I don't think any of them are really 100% reliable. I think you have to use your judgment in line with it as well. So for me, this sort of matches my eye test. So I'm happy to go with it. If I kind of looked at it and went, you know what, that doesn't look right to me, I would just say that. Do you know, that sort of a way? I think you kind of can use them for a wee bit of guidance. I don't use them for full judgment, if you get what I mean. But that's how I feel about stats in general, to be honest. What else have we been saying? Yes, Cunha celebration. I loved his wee dance. That was a good one. What else? Because I wanna get into the rest of the topics, but you know what? You're just so full of chat this evening. Gav is shouting because he's off to do a bit of mod work. We can't give out. Behind the dugouts, Kai is in the house. Arsenal have been looking sketchy for a while. There we are. Right, let's see. Nathan, I think it's too early to compare Carrick and Ollie, but he has defeated Pep and Arteta twice and Unai Emery. I definitely wouldn't compare them because for me, nobody compares to Ollie. I feel like the feeling is the same. We don't know if it's going to last, but the feeling is the same. The enjoyable feeling, which I do like that. It's not just at the Emirates, it's overall they hadn't conceded more than 2 since December 23. That's even better. Sorry, Arsenal, but it's even better for us. Wills is saying he would take Bruno as long as he isn't the captain, definitely. Yeah, to be fair, if I could strip the captaincy off Bruno, I think I would like him a lot more. He irritates me as a captain. Guess is wondering if everybody knows that I love Ollie. I don't think I've ever mentioned it on here. You probably weren't aware, but you know, now you know. But what I want to look at now, lads, now that we've had a good old chin mag, what I would like to look at is actually the fallout after the match. So we have touched on it a little bit in terms of the fact that Arsenal have been under serious pressure. It's been all over the media. Arsenal are going to bottle it. Arteta's not good enough. This is the start of their downfall. I think part of the problem with Arsenal is they had 2 draws prior to this, and then obviously we beat them. We're still considered absolutely terrible, even though we've been playing much better. But I think the problem wasn't this match. I think the problem is that it's now 3 games without a win in the Premier League. And I think when the Premier League feels really, really competitive, when it's 3 in a row, see if these were spread out, if it was a draw and then a few wins and then a draw and then a few wins and then a loss, I don't think people would mind. I think it's because you're looking at momentum. We look at positive momentum. When you're win, we look at the momentum of that. Therefore, when you go draw, loss, you do have to look at the momentum and the trajectory of that. It's not good. When you have stats like Arsenal have been top of the league at Christmas 4 times and not once have they actually won any of those leagues. When you look at 3 in a row without wins, when you look just at the surroundings of it, when you look at the fact they have a reputation, so obviously Spurs have a reputation for being Spursy, which Arsenal now have this reputation for being bottlers, or always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And when your lead goes from 7 points to 4 points, I think people are always going to talk. I think it's very hard to not talk about that. I mean, if it was any team. And I think that's part of it. I think sometimes, and obviously not our Arsenal fans, because They're very reasonable, our Arsenal fans, but there are Arsenal fans, the same as every other club out there on the internet, that are a little bit not all the way there. And I think when they've been so loud and proud, I think people want to tear them down. And I do think it's part of it where whoever's at the top, people want to tear them down. So, and I've said this previously, so at the moment, Arsenal are top of the league. Therefore, rivals want to tear them down. That's how it works. I don't want Arsenal to win the league. While I know some lovely Arsenal fans, I absolutely do not want Arsenal to win the league. If I have to pick, Villa gets my vote, because I don't want it to be City either. But I think in general, you always want the team at the top to lose. So if Manchester City was at the top, we would want them to lose. If Liverpool were at the top, we would want them to lose. Man United aren't anywhere near the top and everybody wants them to lose. If Chelsea were at the top, people would want them to lose. People don't want the winners to win. We want them to lose. That's how it works. It's competitive. We don't like each other. That's how football is. Your rivals aren't going to cheer you on. Manchester United fans are not going to go on Arsenal, win the league, do it. Obviously, we want you to lose, man. Sorry, but we want you to lose. That's how it works. That's rivalry. You don't want us to win. We don't want you to win. And I think when you take all of the surrounding facts, I think it doesn't look good. When you think they've lost it before, when you think it's a bad run, when you think it goes from 7 points to 4, it's not a good look. So as it stands, I still believe Arsenal will win the league. I have only just accepted the fact about a week ago, when they went to 7 points clear, they're going to win the league. I'm going to have to give up on the Villa campaign I've had going. Arsenal are going to win the league. And then they go ahead and they have a little bit of a bad run. And now I've finally accepted they're going to win the league and they've started to have a little bit of a wobble. And I'm like, well, that's a bit rude. I just got on board with your train and now you're going to have a bit of a wobble. So there's two things. I can understand why people think Arsenal might bottle this league. They've done it before, several times. It's completely possible that they might throw it away. However, I don't think they're going to. I think there's, as it stands, unless they keep this going, I think they're still going to win the league. And I think it was unrealistic to expect them to not drop any points between January and May. They were always going to drop points. They were not going to win every match between January and May. It just wasn't going to happen. They were going to draw some, and at some point they were going to lose a match. I think the problem is that they've all come very close together. And I think that's what's changed the narrative. But as it stands, I wouldn't be panicking if I was an Arsenal fan right now. If you go to the next match and you don't see a bounce back, because now what they need to do is say, okay, that was a blip. We've had some down results, but now we're back with a bang. So that's a great question. I'm so glad you all asked. Who is their next match? So this is going to be a great match. They're going to play Kairat in the Champions League. Now, I don't know who or where Kairat are from, but I am assuming Arsenal are going to smash them. That will be good for their confidence. But as Wills said, in between the draws and the loss in the league, they did beat Chelsea and Inter Milan in cup competition. So while you're expecting a big result here, it doesn't necessarily give the fans what they want, because what they want to see is a result in the Premier League, because you've still been getting results in the Cups. You need to keep getting results in the Premier League. And Nathan is in with the information. He is letting me know it's an Uzbekistan team. Real Madrid beat them 4-0. Therefore, you would expect Arsenal to beat them 2-3, 4-0. First of all, as a statement, they need a statement win. When it's a team like this that's not a well-known team, you expect a statement win anyway. What you then hope is that it gives them, well, I don't, obviously, but what Arsenal fans will hope is that a good win here, will give them momentum to take into Leeds. Because Leeds are not going to be easy. Leeds are a tough team. However, they did just draw 1-1 with Everton. So, Arsenal should be beating Leeds. The team that is going to win the Premier League should be beating Leeds. So what you would think if you're an Arsenal fan is, we need to do well here, we need to smash these, and then we need to go win against Leeds, and we need to smash them as well. That's what they need to do. They need to win, and then they need to win again. They need to kind of put a stop. Okay, we've had a draw, we've had a loss. Now we're going to bounce back, and we're going to bounce back like really hard. We're going to smash it. Because I think it was inevitable they would drop some points between January and May, but as Will says, they also can't keep dropping points. You can drop some because that's just real life. You can't keep dropping points, because if you keep dropping points, what will happen is Manchester City will chase you down and catch you. Aston Villa have been following and sticking with Manchester City every step of the way. I don't think you have any other threats. But if you keep dropping points, then what happens is the teams behind you, they get confidence. And if they have, so you have a not easy match, you're going to be playing Chelsea again, which even though you had a really good result, you don't want to lose the second match. So you're going to have to play them in the second match still. Then you're playing Sunderland, who have all their players back from AFCON and have been a real surprise package this season. Then you have Brentford, who have been hovering around the mid-table, refusing to drop down. And then, okay, you've Wigan, that should be easy enough. Then you've got Spurs, then you've got Chelsea in the Prem, then you've got Brighton, who's never an easy game. There's no easy games in the Premier League. So while it's okay to drop some points, it's not okay to go on a run of dropping points because of the momentum. So I think, let's look at the poll, because what happens is I forget to do the poll. So let's do the poll now while we're actually talking about this topic. So it says, are Arsenal going to bottle it right after I accepted that they're going to win the league this season? The first option was absolutely 100%, which does have 40% of the votes. That's a lot. Nah, people are just dramatic, which is 33% of the vote. So it's not a million miles away. Or can't call it this season. Just can't tell. That's 27%. So while absolutely 100% is at 40%, it is the highest vote. The poll is pretty even. You're more or less a third. So you're not a million miles away. Which to me tells you, actually you can't call it. Do you know, it's hard to call. You can have an educated guess. You can have, something you're leaning towards. But it's very hard to just tell. So I'm going to end the poll. There you go. We've had another vote. I'm assuming, was that Mohammed? Did Mohammed vote? I'm assuming that was Mohammed. So I'm going to end the poll now, and you guys will be able to see, hopefully, I think you can, so you will now be able to see it in the chat, the final percentages there. So it's pretty close, a third. So let me see. What are you saying to me? What I don't want to do is, when you're having a conversation, when you're chatting to each other, I don't want to read half your conversation out, because what happens then is I miss loads of the context, and I don't want to do that. Jay is saying Arsenal are great in the Champions League, but they're more timid in the Premier League, which is interesting. Let me see. Rob is saying we as in United have blown the league wide open. I do definitely think we have made it more of a competition. I think we've made it more interesting. It's a bit more open than it was. So I agree with that. Obviously, Mohammed is in the house. Thank you for joining us again, Mohammed. It's nice to see you. Z is in the house. Nice to see you. Z is saying we need to smash Fulham and Spurs. So I think we've gone through enough of the aftermath, the dramatics for Arsenal. So let's talk about, because Z has brought us onto it nicely, let's have a look at the aftermath for Manchester United. So what I'm going to do, let's have a little look. Where are we? Sorry lads, I'm looking at my X because you know the way my X have like so much stuff on it. I don't want you to have to look through literally the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I just saved some nice little things that I want to share with the people. So let's get this on the screen. We're going to start here with Statman Dave. Now I have a few things from Statman Dave. So these are just some nice stats about Manchester United, and then we're going to talk about Dorgu. It's sad, so I don't want to talk about it, but we're going to have to, lads. We are going to talk about Dorgu. We're going to talk about our upcoming matches. We're going to talk about the fact that we always turn up for the big boys and then fail against the smaller teams. That means we are going to have to talk about Fulham and Spurs going forward. But, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll round off with your wee comments there, because I see Mohammed is saying, Arsenal are the same, the difference is the competition. Very interesting take from Mohammed. Really, really interesting take from Mohammed. So Arsenal are playing exactly the same, but maybe the competition are starting to play better. So for example, United would have lost that game if we played any other time earlier in the season. We played better than we had been playing. It wasn't that Arsenal were worse. So really, really interesting kind of to flip it a little bit. Wills is saying, people really do think the result is going to affect us that much and has improved City. I don't think the result has improved City because City also lost to us. To be fair, so I don't necessarily think it's improved City. I'm holding out hope for Villa, but I don't think it's changed it massively. I think if the results continue with draws and losses, and obviously at some point it's going to become difficult. At the moment I wouldn't be stressed too much though. But Statman Dave tells us 6 of Brian Mbeumo's 8 Premier League goals for Manchester United have been winning goals or equalisers. Big game player in every sense. And this was exactly the kind of player we needed in the summer. It's exactly the kind of thing we need more of. It's exactly what we should be looking for when we're recruiting this summer, because let's face it, we're not recruiting in January. It's exactly the kind of thing we should be looking for, and it's exactly the kind of thing that we as United fans should be celebrating. And myself and Rob Always United said near the start of the season, around the first international break, we had a chat with Kate from Kate and Jimbo, and we said Brian Mbeumo could be in with a shout for signing off the summer. Obviously he's not as been in the headlines as much as an Ekatike or as much as a Voltamada, but for the impact that he has had on Manchester United, the man has been absolutely sensational. Mohammed is asking, would you say Mbeumo played well that game? Besides the goal, do I care? Yes, I would say he played well that game. Yes, besides the goal. Yes, I care. So, there's the round up to that. Now, let me just put my order in for my dinner, folks, because I'm going to be rounding up in about 10 minutes, and I need to make sure I'm going to get fed. So bear with me just a minute, because I can't multitask. You might have noticed before, but I can't. So there we are, because my stomach's telling me it's nearly time to eat. But yeah, sorry Wills that you're having to see that. But we're going to keep going. Back from AFCON, so this is United Faithfuls, back from AFCON, and has now scored against Man City and Arsenal in consecutive games. Brian Mbeumo, ladies and gentlemen. So he's literally back from AFCON, in against City, in against Arsenal, and has scored in consecutive games. Unbelievable. Now, Patrick Dorgu has 5 GA in his last 6 Premier League games. He had 1 in his first 27. Ballon Dorgu. Now, what this tells me is the importance of playing to a player's strengths. Playing a player in the right position. Because so many of our fans, including me, when we had him at left wing back, we're just not seeing it. We were like, he's not the guy. He's been underwhelming. We don't want to write him off, but we're not seeing it. We don't think he's the levels. Move him out to the right wing, and we're going, who is this and where has he come from? Move him to the left wing, and he gets 5 GA in his last 6 Premier League games. So I would say, Mohammed's asking me what's his position, so I would say his position is left wing. What that means to me is, because a lot of our we've been talking about, you know, transfers that we're going to need. A lot of our fans have been saying we need a left winger. I don't want a left winger. I want Dorgu to be our left winger. What I think is we need a left back, because Luke Shaw has been unbelievably fit this season. That is not going to last, because it never does with Luke Shaw. So for me, I think we can see that Dorgu is definitely more suited to the wing roles. He can play right wing, he was very good. He can play left wing, he's even better. I think his better attributes are going forward, they're not defending. I don't think he's a left back, I don't think he's a left wing back, and if we can see his potential in this position, why should we shoehorn him into a position that doesn't suit him as well, that isn't as good for him, just because? He is better on left wing, and that's where we should keep him. Play to their strengths. Now, Cunha. An assist off the bench against Man City and a goal off the bench against Arsenal. Unreal impact from Matheus Cunha. And what I just want to say is props to this guy, because we talk often about players that are big fish in a small pond. They're the stars, they're the key players. And that's what he was. He has now had to sit on the bench for 2 matches in a row. He hasn't complained. He hasn't got his brother to wear a t-shirt. He's not posting on social media. He's not having a hissy fit. He's coming on when he's asked with a fantastic attitude, and he's making massive impact. And I just want to say kudos to him, because he's showing exactly what we need. This is the mentality. So I often speak about Harry Maguire's mentality. I think his mentality is unrivaled. What he had to go through for his comeback arc to take effect was sensational. And I think we need more of that. And I think an Mbeumo and a Cunha, they bring that. They bring that proper attitude, and they set a good example for our younger players coming through. And I am so pleased that they are a part of our team and a part of our club, and I hope they stay here for a long, long time and continue exactly as they are. So this is Will's. Will's, close your eyes. For the first time in 121 games, Arsenal have conceded 3+ goals in a game. So who said that to me earlier? It was Nathan, was correct. It's in 121 games. So it wasn't even just at the Emirates, it was anywhere. So unbelievable. Harry Maguire. So just speaking of Harry Maguire, did not lose a single duel on the ground or in the air in 97 minutes against Arsenal. The best centre-back on the pitch. And that brings us back to the point we made earlier. It wasn't necessarily that Arsenal were bad, it was that Manchester United were unbelievable. Not one single duel on the ground or in the air in 97 minutes against top of the league. That is fantastic. And that is something that you can't plan for. So I just think Wills has had enough. He's tapping out. Well, you'll be pleased to know there's no more happy stats. That's the end of them. We're done the happy stats. Who's that? All right. So that brings us to this news. The sad news. So it was announced yesterday, this morning, it might have been this morning. Patrick Dorgu, we saw him on the pitch. He held the back of his leg. He went down. He was subbed straight off. And I was in the group chat and I'm like, get him off the pitch. Don't take any risks. Get him off. And he was. Straight away, he was taken off the pitch. I tweeted yesterday, why is Dorgu holding the back of his leg? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And then the news comes out, he's going to be out for 10 weeks. It's a bad tear on his hamstring. He's going to be out for 10 weeks. And I'm thinking, this man was almost written off by the fan base. He was played out of his position because clearly that position was not his because he wasn't performing in it. We're finally playing him in a good position. We're finally seeing the best of him. We're finally seeing a young player grow into himself, and he damages his hamstring. Of course, because why not? But then Stephen Railston gave me a little teensy bit of hope. And what he said was, losing Patrick Dorgu for 10 weeks would be a big blow after such an impressive run of form. Absolutely correct and right. However, and this is where I was like, oh, however, United are still assessing the injury, which means the layoff might not be as severe. So, I am going to take this bit of hope that Stephen Railston has given me, and I'm going to cling to it for dear life until somebody tells me different. And I can see all the people in the chat, rivals and United fans alike, saying, get well soon, we wish him a speedy recovery. And I think that's such an important thing, and that's what we talk about. There's always banter, there's always fun, there's always a bit of crack, a bit of teasing, but when it comes to this, you never want to see any player, but particularly a young player just coming into a stride, you don't want to see them get injured. It's not nice, it's not good. I'm devastated. I'm devastated as a United fan, and I'm devastated for him because it was just starting to happen. The momentum, again, momentum, and an injury like this can kill momentum. But I'm taking this part, I'm focusing on this. United are still assessing the injury, which means the layoff might not be as severe. So let's hope Stephen Railston is correct and right. But lads, it's time for me to go and have my dinner. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been so lovely having a wee natter. Some new faces in the chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you everybody who has voted on the poll. Thank you for smashing a like. Thank you for leaving your comments. I will speak to you all very, very soon. I hope your evening is very lovely. I hope everybody stays dry because it's very stormy and rainy here. So I hope everybody's safe and well and dry. And just have a lovely evening. I will talk to you all very soon, guys. Thank you.